Hello, Yusef. So I thought I'd make a video explaining how you might be able to get those overhead shots you wanted and also use a smartphone. But first I want to give you just a little bit of an introduction to how cameras, even in the air, smartphones are attached to tripods. On the bottom of most cameras is this thing right here. It's called you can see that it's called a 1/4 inch thread, and it is essentially just screwed onto the tripod, or more often these days actually screwed onto what's called a quick release plate. But you're not there yet, buddy. We're keeping this one very simple. Now the good news is that if you want to get a top-down view, as it's actually known in the industry, you don't necessarily need to purchase a new tripod or a specialized tripod. Most modern tripods actually come with this divot built here that you can do a 90-degree one at. Now I don't know how good that'll look, but it gets you out of having to spend a few $100. So I'm going to actually open this up, and while I do that, I want to real quick give an explanation that although I said the 1/4 inch is the standard, not all cameras are actually capable of being mounted to a tripod. I found this out the hard way before a shoot, that I had purchased a camera that didn't have that. And all we're going to do is we're literally going to just screw the camera on. Here, I'm actually going to elevate it just a little bit here. Alright. And our first shot is not going to be anything special. We're literally just going to be looking at the wall here for a few seconds. I'm doing this with one hand and with zero depth perception, basically, to put it mildly. Okay, and now I mount the camera. Please forgive me being a bit jittery, but this isn't a tripod I use very often. Well, that took forever. By the way, my reference to depth perception is an effect you might notice after you've been, doing photography for a while. And that is the fact that when you're looking through the viewfinder and trying to gauge what your hand is doing, it's actually a very difficult task to try to do. Doesn't help that this table isn't perfectly level. Hold on just a second. Okay, so we want a 90-degree view now, and we're just going to kind of futz here and use that divot to its effect. And here you can see, rather than looking out the window, you're looking at my table. And again, this weight is, I don't really do this, so the weight isn't established very good here. Let me just throw out my screen here real quick. See if I can show you something cool. I'm probably not going to be able to pull this off. Okay, you mentioned wanting to do this via a smartphone, and it's simple. You can pick one of these up. This is a smartphone adapter, and again, please note, Yusef, it's got the thread right there, and you would just screw it onto a tripod like you would screw a camera onto a tripod. Now, how does this actually work? Most of them work with one pretty simple mechanism, actually, and it's just going kind of like this right here. Sorry, again, this is not an easy thing to do one-handed. It just spreads open. Let me see if I can actually pull this off with one hand. Voila! Behold, Yusef. And I'm going to kind of put this video to an end now. I know you asked me some other questions, but hey man, it's late. I'm just coming off a 12-hour shift and whatnot. Thank you.